Welcome back. When President Cyril Ramaphosa officially recognizes AmaZulu King Misuzulu Kazwelithini at Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban tomorrow, the region's rich cultural heritage will be on full display. Thousands of well-wishers are expected to gather this weekend for the official ceremony. Local government also wants to capitalize on their tourism offerings ahead of the festive season. The city of eThekwini hosted a media tour of some of the historic sites today, and eNCA's Lethiwe Mdluli was there. She joins me now from Durban. Lethiwe, you visited important heritage sites in Durban. Take us through what you've been up to and the significance of these places.
Well, the city of Durban is expecting about 48,000 people to take part in that important ceremony that is going to be taking place at the Moses Mabhida Stadium tomorrow. We will be witnessing King Misuzulu Kazwelithini receiving that important certificate from President Cyril Ramaphosa. And today, of course, the city of Durban, along with Durban Tourism, wanted to showcase some of the most important heritage sites that are situated in Durban so that visitors can go and learn more about the city and also the history of the Zulu royal monarch. And we started off at the Kwamuhle Museum, and that museum basically has a lot of history about apartheid and how people were moved from where they were situated. I know that here in the city, a lot of people used to live in Umkhumbane, but during the 1950s, a lot of people had to be moved to different townships such as Kwamashu and Umlazi and Chatsworth. And that's how the Kwamuhle Museum basically teaches the history of the city of Durban, how people were displaced and had to be moved from their homes. So for those people that are going to be visiting the city of Durban, if you want to learn more about the history of the city, you can visit the museum. But also we went to Keto Mena at the Umkhumbane Museum, and that is very important because that museum actually has the gravesite of Queen Thokozile Zulu, who is the late king's mother, King Zwelithini Zulu, and she is, of course, the grandmother of King Misuzulu Kazwelithini. And if those people that are going to be coming to the city want to learn more about the history and also Queen Thokozile Zulu, you will have to go to that museum in Keto Mena, formerly known as Umkhumbane. And like I said, that's the place where a lot of people used to live before the Group Areas Act was introduced in the 1950s, and people had to move to townships across the city. We then moved to Inanda, where we visited the Ohlanga Institute and also Ohlanga High School, and that is the school that John Langalibalele Dube built back in the 1900s, and it's the first school that was built by a black person. And the significance of that school and why people should go and visit that place tomorrow or for the number of days that they will be here in Durban is because John Langalibalele Dube was an advisor to the late King Dinizulu, and he was also a very close friend to the late King Zwelithini Zulu. We also know that he was friends with the Prime Minister of AmaZulu, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. He also wrote biographies for the Zulu royal house, so he was a very important figure for the Zulu nation. When we actually caught up with a cultural expert yesterday, I spoke to Professor Otingomalo, who shared more about the history and the significance of the certificate handover ceremony that is going to be taking place tomorrow. He shared how this is going to basically give the king the importance and also the recognition that he's going to be getting from government tomorrow. As you know, that President Cyril Ramaphosa is going to be handing over that certificate, which means that government recognizes him as the king of the AmaZulu nation. I spoke to the professor yesterday, Professor Otingomalo, and this is what he had to say.
We come to celebrate that we were without a king for some time, and now we have a king. And this king has been presented to the seat, to the owners of the past king of the seat, who are past kings, and Umvelingani. And we celebrate that in the open. We celebrate that to recommend that there will be unity amongst the Africans, that we should uphold all the values which we learned from our forefathers and foremothers, and that we should continue to apply and to comply with Ubuntu, which is our philosophy and our religion. that what we are is owed to other people, the other people owe their being to us, and we are created to have that affinity and respect for God the Almighty.
Right, thank you very much, eNCA's Lethiwe Mdluli.